Who's logging? Oh, recording in progress. I heard that.
Yes, Nama Kamalama Nama Kamalapa Namaste Kamali Yo Yama Atipuram Yo Vaidina Chakrayoti Tasmai Abmam Bhagavate Mama Prakasham Murvai Sharanamah Prapatye. The divine souls. We'll have a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan, and after that, I'll begin explaining the topic of the essence of all spiritual practices. You can join me in doing the chanting of God's divine name by repeating the line after me. We'll be singing Radhe 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 Shri Bhagavan ki. Radhe Radhe to everyone. Welcome to this 4-day series on the essence of all paths and practices, essence of all spiritual paths and practices. A path means something we're doing to attain something. A path, a practice. We call it sadhana. You have one thing, sadhana, and you also have sadhya. Sadhya means through that sadhana, what goal are you trying to attain? That is the sadhya. If we don't know our sadhya, how would we know what the correct sadhana is? First, we have to know what the goal is. Then we can understand what the path. So let us start where we always start. In every lecture, every topic has to begin with understanding why are we discussing? What are we trying to attain? So let us understand this point first, and then we'll talk about the path practices and what is the essence of all paths practices. Only then it matters. Only then it has a context. The context is, what do we want? What are we trying to attain? Or in other words, what is the goal of our life? What is the goal of our existence? We are divine souls and we want perfect happiness. Someone may say, no, there is more than one goal. Just happiness is not the goal. Also, some people want freedom from suffering. Some would say the goal is ananda prapti, the attainment of joy, bliss. And some would say, no, it is dukkha nivritti as well, not just ananda prapti. We want to be happy, we also want to be free from sorrow and suffering. However, if you really think about it, ananda prapti includes the goal of dukkha nivritti, but not vice versa. Why is it so? If you are happy, then by definition, you are not sad. You can't be both happy and sad. If somebody attains a state of blissfulness, by definition, it means it is free from sorrow. I said we want perfect happiness. Perfect happiness, by definition, means happiness that is free from any kind of sorrow. However, being free from sorrow and suffering does not include necessarily being happy. For example, if someone is in a lot of pain, so much pain that they lose consciousness, once they're unconscious, They're free from pain. But are they experiencing bliss? No. We attain this state every night when we fall asleep. We enter into what is called Sushupti Avastha. In Sushupti Avastha, the activity of our mind ceases. We're not consciously thinking anything, and even subconsciously, we're not dreaming anything. We enter into deep sleep, dreamless sleep. In that state, we have no awareness of our even anything. We're not even aware of our own existence in that state. Sushupti Avastha. So in that state, we have no experience of suffering. We're not upset about anything. You may have been, let's say, that someone very dear to you recently passed away. And as you're falling asleep, you're thinking about how much you miss that person. You're very sad. Once you enter into deep sleep, your sadness is gone. You wake up in the morning, then again you in this way, we attain a state of no suffering every single night. But we are not blissful in that state. We are just oblivious to everything. We get a temporary reprieve from all the stress and suffering. But we haven't experienced the state of blissful. However, if someone attains the real state of blissfulness, it will be forever, and it will be perfectly without any kind of suffering. When I say we want perfect happiness, actually our Vedas define perfect happiness as yo vai bhuma tat sukham. True happiness must be, according to Chandogya Upanishad, it must be, first of all, unlimited in amount. The amount of happiness. You say, oh, I'm feeling a little bit happy, more happy, a lot happy. Have any of us ever experienced infinite happiness? No. But Chandogya Upanishad says if we ever attain true happiness, that happiness will be infinite, of unlimited amount, and it would last forever. You don't just get it for a day or a few hours or even a few years. Perfect happiness lasts forever. These are the two main criteria. It should be of unlimited amount and it should last forever. And there's a third criterion as well. That is that true happiness is ever increasing. It's ever new, ever fascinating, never becomes boring. In the world, happiness, not only is it limited in amount, and it has a temporary duration, but it wanes. The more you keep enjoying the same thing, the more boring that thing becomes. True happiness is the exact opposite. True happiness goes on increasing every month. You keep enjoying the very same thing and you become more fascinated with it every moment. And the amount of bliss you're receiving from it goes on increasing every moment. This is the definition of true happiness in our Vedas. And it is that true happiness that we all seek. Someone would say, why do we all seek happiness? Actually, if you go around asking people in this world, what do you want? You will get a multitude of responses. Someone will say, I want a promotion. Someone will say, I want a healthy child born. Someone will say, I want my child to get into this university. Someone will say, I want to marry that person. Someone will say, I want $1 million. We have, in fact, even one person has so many desires that if you wanted to catalog all of their desires that they have even in a single day, it's too big of a job. Constantly thinking and coming up with new desires. So someone could argue, having observed this, that why are you saying everybody desires perfect happiness? It seems like there is such a variety of desires. However, all of those desires, however many desires a person has, those are, we could call them fulfilling desires. We create those desires out of the hope that they will give us something. They will fulfill our original desire. None of those desires I mentioned are the actual original desire. We create desires for all those things because we have one original demanding desire. That is the desire to be happy. Sarveshamapi bhutana dripasatmaiva vallabha itare patya vittadya vallabhatayaivahi. Everything, whatever we desire, whatever is dear to us, is dear to us for one reason and one reason. We believe that thing will give us happiness, that person or that thing. If we didn't believe a person would give us happiness, would we love them? No, that's not the way our mind works. Jehi te kachu nij swarat hui ka par mamata karai sab koi sur nar muni sab kiya swarat lal karai sab preeti. Ramayana tells us that wherever a person is attached, wherever there is mamata, it is because they believe their self-interest will be fulfilled from that person or that thing. And what is our self-interest? I want to be happy. This is natural. Yes, swabhavik hai. Nobody was ever taught to desire happiness. In fact, the proof of this is that even a newborn child knows that they want happiness. They haven't been told anything, they don't understand any language, but they know this much. They don't like the pain of being born. That's why a child cries. And that itself proves they come into this world screaming. They're screaming a nara. Ananda Dedo. Saying, give me happiness. They haven't even learned a language yet they're screaming for happiness. The child knows, I don't want this pain. So by screaming and crying, the child is releasing that pain and demanding happiness. From the moment we are born, know that we want to be happy. And everybody is the same in this regard, no matter how variable the fulfilling desires are that we create. The original demanding desire is the same for everybody. Every single living being, never mind humans, even animals, insects, every living being understands it wants happiness. Why is it so? There's a scientific reason behind it. Anando Brahmeti Pyajana. Taittiriya Upanishad says God is Anand. That perfect happiness I described, which is unlimited, everlasting, and ever increasing, that is synonymous with God. Brahma. The very definition of God is personified bliss, personified Anand. What does that have to do with our desire for happiness? Well, you see, we have the eternal relationship with God. Chinmatram Shri Hariransham Sukshmam Aksharam Apyayam Krishnadhinamiti Jivam Jnana Gunashrayam. Ved says we are an eternal part of Shri Krishna. Mamaivansho jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatana. Shri Krishna says in the Gita, all the souls are my sanatan ansh. They are eternally a part of me. And it is an axiom, a natural law, that every ansh is drawn to their anshi. Every part is drawn to their origin. The proof? Water evaporates and forms clouds. Each water droplet is ansh, a part of what? Part of ocean. Ocean is the origin. That water droplet may rain down somewhere on the earth. And then what does it do? It travels. It's drawn. Forcibly drawn towards the ocean. It doesn't rest. Water does not rest until it reaches, until it joins its anshi, the ocean. Then it becomes whole and complete. Similarly, every flame burns up towards its anshi, the sun. We are ansh of God. Therefore, we are naturally attracted to God. And who is God? What is God? He is Satchit Anand. He is the very perfect happiness that we seek. And why do we seek it? Because we're a part of Him. Every ansh is naturally drawn to their anshi. So it makes perfect sense. God is perfect happiness. We're a part of God. Therefore, we desire perfect happiness. That is why every soul automatically desires perfect happiness without being told that we're supposed to. We know. We just understand. This is our eternal, original desire to be perfectly happy. That desire emanates from our soul. It is the soul that wants Bhagwan. Our mind feels the restlessness. The soul is naturally drawn to God. So there's just a, you can say, a vibration, an emanation from the soul. The mind experiences that with this feeling. Something is missing. Don't you all feel that? I'm incomplete. I need to attain something. There's a void inside of us. And from the moment we wake up in the morning, we're busy trying to find something to fill that void. What is missing? Our mind can't understand on its own. We need the knowledge of Vedic scriptures. We need divine saints to come here and teach us. Only then our mind can be educated about the fact that the happiness we seek is in God. There are three things that exist. Bhokta bhogyam preritara chamatva sarvam proktam trividham brahmetat. Taittiriya Upanishad says there are only three things that exist. God, the souls, all of us, and Maya. Maya means God's cosmic power or material energy. Prakriti. Out of that, when God activates Maya, the whole universe is manifested, and God is omnipresent in this universe. And we, the souls, live in this universe. Our body is Maya, made of Maya, as is our mind. But we, the soul, are not a part of mind. Our soul is a part of Jiva Shakti, God's soul power. With his material power, Maya, he creates the universe. And all of the infinite souls, we are ansh of his soul power, Jiva Shakti. And he is the ruler of souls and mind. So we, the souls, are seeking perfect happiness. We are one entity, one eternal tattva. God is one eternal tattva and Maya is one eternal tattva. So we, the souls, are seeking happiness. It means we have two options where to seek. We can seek happiness in Maya things or in God. There's no third option. Without proper education, the mind can't know that true happiness is in God, because God is not perceived by our Mayic senses, and our Mayic mind doesn't know God. Go gochar jahan lagi man jai, so sab maya jane bhai. Our mind says, wherever the human mind can go is all Maya, because your mind itself is made of Maya. The senses are also Maya. That's why even though God is omnipresent, we can't see him. He's here, but we can't see him. Therefore, our mind, left to its own, what would it know about? Only what it can perceive, the world, the Maya world around it. Therefore, it is quite natural that the mind, when we're feeling that void, and we feel restless, I need something. And we don't understand the whole philosophy that I am a divine soul who's a part of God, and God is perfect happiness. So I naturally desire God. That's why I feel this restlessness to find perfect happiness. If we don't know all that, but we still feel restless, that we need something, naturally the mind is going to decide to seek, fill ourselves through what it can perceive, the world around us. We have things to see, taste, touch, hear, smell. Through our five senses, we grasp the experiences of this world, and our mind receives some excitement from that. But the restlessness never wanes. On one hand, we're feeling excited by a sensual experience of this world through one of our five senses. We're enjoying something. And on a deeper level, our soul is still giving that signal. Keep looking. I'm as dissatisfied as I was before you tried to enjoy this thing. It's telling the mind. Mind is enjoying it. Oh, this is exciting. This sensual input is stimulating the nerve cells in my brain. I feel something. And soul says, that's not it. Keep looking. There's something more you want. More, mind doesn't know where is more, what is it, what am I supposed to be seeking? That's why we need the knowledge. Now we understand that we are divine souls who are seeking perfect divine happiness. If we are divine, then the thing we seek must also be divine. That is God. That means that the goal of every soul's existence is to attain God. Not to simply receive sensual input from the world over and over and try to find perfect happiness in that. That is not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal of our existence is to attain perfect happiness by attaining God. Now we have understood our sadhya, the goal. Many times people say, I feel that I was put in this world for something. What is my purpose? Understood in their question is the feeling that everyone must have a different purpose. It is not so. We all share the same purpose. We all want God. The purpose of our existence is to attain God and thus attain perfect happiness. We will never feel fulfilled until we do so. Infinite people, infinite souls have attained God in the past. And we can also attain God, but we have to understand what is the correct path. We know the sadhya, so now we can analyze the sadhana. The sadhana must fulfill our goal. It must be able to take us to our goal. And we know our goal is God realization. We want to attain God. Now we have to find the path to do that. Where do we find this information? Can we ask our friend? Our friend is in the same boat we are. Our friend also has a Mayic mind, Mayic senses, only knows about this Mayic world. We need to find somebody who has a direct experience of God. We need some authentic, someone who is an authority on the subject. We call these individuals God-realized saints. A God-realized saint could be female, could be male, could be young, could be old, and we have had thousands and thousands of them in our divine history of this earth planet. And they have produced scriptures, divine scriptures to guide us. What do those scriptures tell us? Well, we have scriptures like Vedas. In fact, they are the foundation. All other scriptures, which I'll briefly mention here, just to give you an overview, all other scriptures exist on the foundation of Vedas. Why is Ved considered to be the foundation? Because Ved is not actually written or composed by any saint. Ved is produced by God himself. Nikshwasitamasya Veda, Dikshitamasya Panchabhutani, Sitavetasya Characharam, Suttam Chasya Mahapralaya. Ved itself says that Ved is an eternal power of God that resides in God in a subtle form and is produced in the world in the form of Varni. In other words, words, sounds, and that is later written on paper and kept in a book form. But the Ved does not eternally exist as a book, it eternally exists in a subtle form as Bhagwan's Varni. It is eternally a power of God. It resides in God and is produced by God in this world. But even God didn't make it because it's eternal. So Ved is the foundation. Other scriptures are revealed by divine saints to help explain the Ved. Ved contains 100,000 mantras. 100,000 verses of the Ved. That Ved is divided into 4. Sam Ved, Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Atharva Ved, 4 Ved. And each of these 4 Ved is further subdivided into Shakha, branches. For instance, Rig Ved has 21 branches. Samved has 1,000 branches. Yajurved has 109 branches. And Atharvaved has, in total, if you add them all up, it's a lot of shakha of Veda. All these shakha also are further divided into chapters. These chapters address specific topics and their conversations between two individuals. So the most important part of each shakha is called the Upanishad of that shakha. So we have 1,180 shakha. Those 1,180 shakha branches, each one has an Upanishad. So it means there are 1,180 Upanishads. The Upanishads are the essence of the Vedic knowledge. That's what we're trying to get to here in this week, right? We want to know the essence of all the paths and practices. So Upanishads have their own importance. Then we have some other affiliated scriptures, like we have 4 Upaveda. The 4 Upaveda, each one is connected to one of the 4 Vedas. Those 4 Upaveda are Ayurveda, the science of medicine; Dhanurveda, the science of defense and warfare; Arthaveda, economics and sociology; and Gandharvaveda, Shastriya Sangeet and Nritya, the science of dance and music. These are the 4 Vedas. Then you have 6 Vedangas. All these are introduced in the world by various saints. Then other saints come and reveal other scriptures to help us understand this Vedic group of scriptures, to explain it in different ways. So a very intellectual approach to expounding upon this knowledge of the 4 Vedas is in the 6th Darshan Shastra. We have Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Samkhya. You have probably heard these names. These are all part of the 6 Darshan Shastras. So Nyaya and Vaisheshik give the logic for proving a point, how to decide what is the right thing. Sankhya explains more about the expansion of material existence. Then comes Yoga Darshan. It tells the practice that it's not just enough to have the knowledge. You also have to practice joining your mind with God. You have Purva Mimamsa, which tells about performing good actions to go to Swarg. And you have the Brahma Sutra, or Uttar Mimamsa, that actually tells the precise knowledge about who is God, what is soul, and how can the soul reach God. So these 6 Darshan Shastras are there. Then we also have 18 Purana produced by Vedavyas. Vedavyas also produced the Mahabharata, which contains the Gita. Lakchantu Chaturu Veda Lakchamekam Bharatam. Veda itself says there are 1,00,000 mantras in Veda, and there are 1,00,000 slokas in the Mahabharata scripture. Mahabharata is a huge scripture as well. Vedavyas produced Mahabharata. Valmiki produced Ramayana in Sanskrit. Many other saints have written the Ramayana in local languages as well. And we have more than 200 smritis. These are like social law books, do's and don'ts for living in the world. The 17 Puran tell the whole history of the Brahman. How did God create the universe? How did our earth come to be? what beings exist, what are the different dimensions, what saints have been important in history, what forms has God taken, what avatar has he taken here on earth. All of this is described in the Quran, as well as various paths and practices. The Ved is divided into three sections: Karma Khan, Gyan Khan, and Upasana Khan. Therefore, all paths and practices are divided into three main categories: Karma, Gyan, and Bhakti. Path of good actions, path of knowledge, and path of devotion, path of devotion to God. So, Quran also tells some about the path of good actions, some about the path of Gyan, some about Bhakti. Now you're getting the idea that this is a lot of knowledge. Mahabharata is 100,000 shlokas. So the 18 Purana, including the Bhagavad, is another 400,000 shlokas. Then the Vedas, 1,000 mantras. Valmiki Ramayana, 25,000 shlokas. Then the six Darshan Shastras, 200 Smritis. It's too much. Too much knowledge. Impossible for one person to study in one lifetime. This is why we need to have essence. We want to know what is the correct path to follow. And yet, the Uddhav asked Sri Krishna this question in the Bhagavatam. Now, the Bhagavatam is very important because after Vyasa had reproduced all the scriptures that I just described, he had his disciples write down Vedas, reproduce Vedas. He dictated and they wrote. He produced Mahabharata. He wrote himself the Uttar Mimamsa, Brahma Sutra, and he rewrote the previous 5 Darshan Shastras. He produced 17 Purana, Gita, everything. And he still felt restless that his work was not done. Vyasa Ji is an avatar of Bhagwan. So Narad Ji, who is also an avatar of Bhagwan. So Bhagwan in one form is producing the scriptures and wondering what should I do next. And Bhagwan in another form comes as Narad Ji and says, Vyasa Ji, you produced all this knowledge, but everything is a mix. You've told over here about karma, over here about Gyan, over here about Bhakti. You have to produce a scripture that just distills all of that knowledge into one straightforward package. You have to write the Bhagavatam. There are other things that are unique to the Bhagavatam that I'll explain to their head. So Vyasa Ji, oh yes, have to write the Bhagavatam, the 18th Purana. Now in this Bhagavatam, he tells the main leelas of Sri Krishna's avatar from his appearance to his disappearance. And at the end of Sri Krishna's time here on earth, just before he was getting ready to ascend to his divine abode, he instructed Uddhav Paramahansa, the divine personality, and Sri Krishna's friend and advisor from Mathura. He instructed him to go and stay at Badrikashram in Himalaya. Uddhav had some questions before he went to stay. He wanted to know quite a few things. So just like Arjuna asked Sri Krishna questions and Krishna gave the answer, and that's called Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavatam, this conversation between Uddhav and Sri Krishna is called the Uddhav Gita. It's very important. It summarizes all the knowledge. So listen to this question Uddhav asked Sri Krishna. Vadanti Krishna Shreyansi Bahuni Brahmavadina Tesham Vikalpa Pradhanya Mutahu ekam yata. Uddhav says, Krishna, please tell me. There are so many people talking about God and telling various paths to God. There's such a big confusion. Can you tell me out of all these paths, which is the correct one? There has to be one correct path. They can't all be correct. And also tell me, how did all these paths come into existence? So Shri Krishna says, Kalena nashta pralaye varniyam veda sangita mayadau brahmani prokta dharmo yasyam madatmaka. Uddhav, in the beginning, I gave the knowledge of Vedas to Brahma. It's available previously also, but during Pralay, the books get lost, the knowledge gets lost, but Ved is not destroyed because Ved is eternal, subtle knowledge that resides in God. So he says, I give that knowledge to Brahma. Brahma gives it to rishis on earth, and they produce the Vedic knowledge to guide the souls. So now I produced Ved to give what? To tell what is dharma. And what is dharma? He said, he told in one quarter shloka, dharmo yasyam madatmaka. How a soul comes to me, that is dharma. So I told how to come to me. That's it. That's all that's in Ved. Then what happened? Yatha prakriti sarvesham chitra vacha sravanti. Once the knowledge is available in the world, anybody can learn Sanskrit and then start interpreting it. So he said, there are 4 types of buddhi in the world. 4 types of intellect. Divine intellect, those who have attained God. Authorized, qualified people who could actually give the correct interpretation of Vedas. They are very few, very rare to find. But there are plenty of other people who know Sanskrit and can read Vedas. But it's very difficult to understand Vedas. Unless you're God realized, you can't know the actual correct meaning. So ordinary people who are not God realized, they are either sattvic or rajas or tamas. Sattvic, more pious minded, rajas, less pious minded, and tamas, impious minded. So according to the quality of a person's mind, sattvic, rajas, tamas, they will interpret my varni as saying accordingly. And all 3 interpretations are wrong. Sattvic interpretation, rajas interpretation, tamas interpretation, it's all incorrect because you need a divine interpretation. So reading Vedas and then coming up with interpretations by all various Sanskrit scholars, you end up with many, many paths popping up. Dharma meke shashchanye kamam satyam tamam shamam anye vadanti swartham va aishvaryam tyag bhojanam kechit yagya tapodanam yamani yaman vratani yaman yaman आद्यन्तवन्त एवैषां लोकाः कर्म विनिर्मिता दुःखोदर्कास्तमोनिष्ठा क्षुद्रानन्दा सुचार्पिता. Sri Krishna named many, many paths. He said, Arjun, interpreting the Vedas according to their own quality of mind. Some said the path of good actions will take you to God. Dharma meke. Some said yashashani. Yash. Get a big name. Make a name for yourself. That's the goal of life. Kamam. pursue your desires to sensually enjoy the world. Satyam. Some said, no, 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 just tell the truth. Some said, Dham, control your senses. Some said, Sham, control your mind. Anni vadanti swartham va. Some said, just fulfill your own self-interest. That's all there is to life. Others said, happiness is in getting aishwarya, get power and wealth and opulence in this world. Others said, no, no, it's in tyag, give up everything. Others said, bhojanam, happiness is in eating. Others said, you'll find happiness by doing yajna. Others said, by doing tap, austerities. Others said, by doing vrat. Others said, by doing following yam and niyam. And Shri Krishna said, all of it keeps you within the field of Maya. None of it takes you to your goal of God realization. Dukkho darkas unishtha, chudrananda shuchartika. All of those practices keep you within the field of Maya, the cycle of birth and death, the field of limited happiness, always mixed with displeasure, dissatisfaction, unhappiness. Chudrananda, insignificant amount of happiness is experienced in this world and more problems. So all of those paths, even if they're good paths, they keep you within this realm. They don't give you your goal of ananda prapti. And they don't even give you bhukti, freedom from suffering, freedom from Maya. So Shri Krishna then follows this up by saying, actually, Uddhav, there's only one way to attain this. But what that one way is, of course, I'm going to leave you hanging until tomorrow, because we need a reason for you to come back tomorrow. So we'll be continuing this for the next 3 days. I'll explain what is the path that Shri Krishna says is the one way to attain our ultimate goal, and also delve into how that path